live from Denver, Colorado. This is Before the Chop, the morning show for barbers. Here's your host, David Ford.
All right, I want you to picture an economy that runs on no visible currency. No statements ever arrive. No one shows you the balance. And the only proof that anything ever moved is the day the money's already gone. Sounds made up? It isn't. It's running in your shop right now, and you've never even bothered to check the number. I didn't either. Not until a guy who'd sat in my chair every 3 weeks for years just stopped showing up one day. No warning, no argument, nothing. A month went by, then 2. Then I'm walking to grab lunch, and there he is, right across the street. Fresh haircut, sharp as ever, and it very much is not my work on his head. Nobody yelled, no blow up, no fight about a price, and I guarantee you it wasn't a bad haircut. He just closed his Booksy account and walked his patronage down the street like a grown man breaking up over text. Worst part was I never got the reason. I had to go hunt it down by myself, like some sort of a tonsorial detective. Good morning, barbers. Before we get into the hard part, here's something undeniably true about us. The barbershop has been a pillar of every neighborhood it has ever sat in. We hold everybody else's week together, one haircut at a time, and people say things in our chair they haven't said out loud anywhere else. Nobody ever built one of those for us, though. So that's what this is. The Barber's Barbershop. And you're sitting in it. I'm David Ford, and 2 months spent chasing down a single client walkout taught me this. The haircut was never the account. The trust behind it was. And that's the ledger we're opening together this morning. This is the one morning show that treats your chair like the standing relationship it actually is. Because a fade grows out in 3 weeks, but the reason he comes back doesn't have anything to do with how fast his hair grows. Last week we protected the barber. Full book, empty tank. The day off you schedule before you need it. Today we're going to protect the one thing the whole business actually sits on, whether the person in the chair trusts you enough to come back. Every client in your chair is keeping a running account on you, and you probably haven't bothered to look at the balance. 4 kinds of trust: a deposit or a withdrawal on every single visit, stacked so slow over the years, you stop noticing it's there. My 6-year guy didn't leave over a haircut. He left because a balance I wasn't watching ran all the way into the red, and by the time it showed up on the one gauge that I do watch, the book, the account was already closed. By the end of our show today, you'll be able to name every account your clients keep on you, catch which one's running low before it costs you the client, and make one deposit this week most barbers never think to make. And the back half of the show is stacked this morning too. 2 brand new barbers in a tiny Iowa town just bet a whole shop on this exact idea that we're opening today with. The robots are officially coming for your front desk, and I'm going to make the case for holding the door open for those robots. And finally, we're going to get to settle the poll. The red and white one spinning outside your shop, the one with the king, the church, and a razor at a bare throat buried in its history. Ever wonder why it's actually red and white? We answer that today. Mindset minutes first, then we get into it. The chat's open the whole show. The comments are right there on the replay. And mailitbeforethechop.com never closes. Not even for barbers who just got ghosted by a long-time regular. One idea this morning. You are not in the haircut business. You're in the trust business. And the haircut is just the receipt. And the client walks out the door with. Listen, your whole week argues against what I just said. I get that. What you can see is the haircut. It's what you photograph. It's what you post. It's what you critique on the drive home. So believing the cut is the product, with everything else as a customer service garnish sprinkled on top, makes perfect sense. I want you to flip it, though. Inside of a 10-minute drive, a client can get a technically fine fade at 4 different barbershops, probably cheaper too. What he cannot get anywhere else is the specific earned confidence that you will get it right, that you will remember. That the guy who sat him down last time is the same guy who will be standing there next time. Nobody's driving past 4 shops for a fade. They're driving past 4 shops for a person they trust. Trust is strange because it stays invisible right up until the precise moment that it's the only thing that matters. Nobody ever compliments you on it while it's solid. Nobody says great trust the way they compliment a fade or a perfectly symmetrical lineup. But if you let it crack, even a little, suddenly it's the only thing anybody can think about. Everything else you do well stops mattering the second they stop believing in you. That's why trust outranks almost everything else we cover. You can recover from a bad haircut with the same client. I've fixed a rough one and kept the guy coming back because the trust was deep enough to absorb this mistake. Recovering gets a lot harder the day the trust cracks, because after that, a perfect haircut no longer saves you. He sits there through a flawless fade, deciding that this is it. This is the last one. The work stopped being the thing he was buying a long time ago. Before you obsess over one more fading technique this week, ask yourself honestly, does the person in the chair believe in me a little more when they leave than when they sat down? Answer that, and suddenly the rebook takes care of itself. For anyone who needs to roll out and get the day started, here's the whole morning in one line. You sell trust, not just haircuts. Everybody staying? Let's open the ledger, name the 4 accounts, and figure out which of yours is running low. Let me go back to my 6-year guy, because understanding why he left helped me understand the whole system. Look, I did what you're not supposed to do, and I did it really well. I asked around. I debated hiring a private investigator, but eventually I found a mutual client, and I got the real story. It wasn't the fades. My work was fine. Over months, though, small things started to happen. I started running behind because I was overbooked and too proud to fix it. Instead of really listening, I'd ask about his daughter and then talk over the answer. One time, I moved his standing appointment without much of a heads up because a bigger ticket booking wanted the slot, and I never really owned that. None of that is a firing offense by itself. Add it up over a year, though, and it becomes a slow drain in an account that I never knew that I'd opened, pushing away a client I would have sworn was rock solid. Here's the framework, and I want you to hear all of them, because a client isn't keeping one account on you. They're keeping many. In this case, 4 at once. They can be full in 3 and bone dry in the one that ends up mattering. Account 1, competence. Do you do good work? Every barber obsesses over this one, and it's the table stakes, not the finish line. It's the price of admission to even have the other 3 accounts. Most of you watching are already flush here. Good. Clients can judge this account the least accurately too because they don't know what a great fade looks like. They're not qualified to tell you what a great fade is. They know what a confident barber feels like. Account 2, reliability. Do you do what you said when you said it? Start on time. Same result every time. The appointment you booked is the appointment that you get. This was the account that I was bloodletting, and it's the most underrated one in the whole trade because it's boring. Nobody posts about starting on time. Reliability runs a relationship because a client's real question every visit isn't, is he talented? It's, can I count on this? Talent gets you the first cut. Reliability gets you the next 40. Account number 3, caring. Does this person actually see me? Do they remember my kid's name? The trip I mentioned, that I hate it too short on the sides. No app and no chain can ever touch this account, and it's the one that makes you unfireable. The other stuff can be matched. Being genuinely known cannot be matched. Account number 4, character. Do I trust who you are when I'm not looking? Do you talk about your other clients to me? Because if you do, I know exactly what you say about me when I leave. Are your prices honest? Do you own it when you're wrong? This account takes years to fill, and it is the deepest one of the 4 because it survives a mistake in the other 3. Blow an appointment, and a client with a full character account tells himself you're having a rough week. If you blow that same appointment on an empty account, he'll tell himself he finally sees the real you. Now, here's the thing that I need you to really understand about all 4. And I'll explain it with a cast iron pan of all things. Hold on, I'm fixing a camera real quick. Minor technical difficulty. That's okay. These things happen. Just a quick fix. There we are. All right. I'm going to explain it with a cast iron pan, and I know that sounds ridiculous, but just hang with me here. A raw skillet is useless. Everything sticks to it. It rusts if you look at it wrong. What makes it the best pan in the kitchen is the seasoning. A hard black finish built up one thin layer at a time over years of the same careful use. You can't buy that finish, and you can't rush it. But one run through the dishwasher, one hard scrub because you were in a hurry, and a decade of seasoning strips back to raw metal in about 90 seconds. Trust works exactly like that. Built slowly, one marginal, boring layer at a time, and gone in a single careless afternoon. And here's the worst part of it all, the math. Deposits are small and slow. Withdrawals are big and fast. Every time you start on time and remember the kid's name, you make a deposit the size of a nickel. But because a deposit feels like nothing, you never see it land. Then, one visit, you move his appointment for a bigger ticket client and you don't own it. That isn't a nickel out, unfortunately. That's the whole depth of the register drawer. One withdrawal can wipe out an entire year of deposits. My 6-year guy wasn't one bad day. He was a year of skipped nickel deposits and 3 or 4 register drawer withdrawals, and the account hit 0 on a completely ordinary Tuesday. Almost never will you get to hear the reason. That is why trust is different from every other number in your business. When revenue drops, you can see it. When a client's trust drops, they don't file a complaint. They get a little quieter, book a little further out, and one day they're across the street at the other shop. The withdrawal is silent. The account closes without even a whisper. You cannot manage this the way you manage the book, by reacting when the number moves, because by the time this number moves, it's already gone. So you are required to manage it on the deposit side before there's any problem to see. Okay, so how do you read an account that never sends you a statement? You have to be present. Watch the small stuff, because the small stuff is the statement. The regular who used to book the next one standing right in front of you at the counter now says he'll text you to set it up, and then he takes 8 more days to do it. The guy who used to talk the entire haircut goes head down into his phone. The one who tipped the same amount for 3 years starts rounding down. None of those is him announcing the account is low. They are him announcing the account is low. Those little shifts are the warning signs, and learning to spot them requires a real skill, a skill most barbers never bother or care to practice. Most of us wait for the empty chair. By then, the statement's just a final notice. Let me put a real number on why this is worth your Monday. Squire's 2026 State of Barbershops Report, the booking and point of sale platform that a huge slice of us run on, the one we've touched on multiple times on this show, says the national average for a men's haircut is $43. Take one genuine regular at that rate every 3 weeks and run it out. That's roughly $700 a year, and a real regular stays not 1 year, but many. Hold that client 6 years like my guy, and you're around $4,000 from one relationship before you count the 2 or 3 people that he sends you, which in its own is a deposit into your book. Now run this comparison. What did it cost you to get him? An ad, a week of posting, the free touch-up that turned a walk-in into a regular. Getting a client is expensive and loud. Keeping one, though, is cheap and silent, yet most barbers pour every dollar and every ounce of effort into the expensive, loud thing, chasing the new head, while multi-$1,000 relationships already in the chair drain out the back while nobody's watching, because no one's making deposits. Now, I'm not going to harp on this because we've talked about this report and the math in previous episodes, and I think you get the point. I'll be straight with you about my own wiring here, since we're being honest this morning. I'm warm with my clients, and I can be blunt with barbers, and that's a real contradiction in me. I say the hard thing to another barber because I think we owe each other the truth. So here's mine, barber to barber, me to you. My issue wasn't a talent problem. I was full up with competence and running empty in reliability, and I told myself the good fades would cover it. They didn't, though, because they don't. The work wasn't the account that was failing. One big move doesn't fix any of this. You don't win back a 6-year relationship with a discount or a free haircut. That's just trying to buy your way out of a trust problem with money, and it reads as exactly that. Refill the accounts the boring way, the cast iron way, the one thin, deliberate, marginal layer at a time way. Start on time this week. Actually on time. Write down the one personal thing that each regular told you last visit, then open with it this time. Own the mistake before they even mention it. None of that is impressive. All of it is what, though? It's a deposit. Made on purpose, every visit. The deposits are the only thing that ever build an account worth protecting. Before the craft corner, here's the question I want in the comments, and give me the real answer. Which of the accounts is your weakest right now? Competence, reliability, caring, or is it character? Not for the client next to you, for you. Name it in the comments. Naming it is the first deposit. Craft Corner, because naming the accounts is a nice idea until you know exactly where to make the biggest deposit. And one moment fills all 4 accounts faster than any other, while most barbers sleepwalk right through it and never even notice they were standing in the good part. That moment is the first appointment. The very first time a new client sits in your chair. That visit isn't a haircut. It's the frame every visit after it hangs in. The energy and standard you set on day 1 become the energy the client mirrors back to you for the entire rest of the relationship. Rush the first one, skip the consultation, half listen, and you've taught them this is a transaction. So they'll treat it like one, shopping you on price and drifting the first time somebody's $5 cheaper. But set the frame right on day 1, and you've taught them this is a relationship. And relationships don't get comparison shopped. But here's the trap. That first appointment is exactly the one you're most tempted to rush. New client, you don't know them yet, no history on the line, so it feels like the low stakes cut of the day. But it's the exact opposite. This is the highest stakes cut you will ever give that man because it's the only one that sets the terms for all of the other appointments. In the 4 minutes before the first clipper pass, you have more power to define that relationship than you will ever have again. So here's the technique. One thing to do differently on every new client's first visit. Slow the first appointment down and spend the first few minutes not cutting. Before the cape goes on, ask these 3 questions. How do you usually wear it? What's gone wrong at other haircuts? And what is this haircut for? The wedding? The job? The just need to feel like myself again? Then here's the part that sets this whole frame. Say out loud what you're going to do before you do it. Here's what I'm thinking. Here's why. Does that work for you? On day one, you just told a stranger that in your chair, he gets a say and he gets the truth. You're not opening all 4 accounts with a great fade. You're opening them by being the barber who slowed down and actually asked. Notice what that first frame does to all 4 accounts at once, before you've even picked up a tool. A good consultation shows competence. An amateur just starts cutting. Saying what you'll do and then doing it opens up reliability on visit 1. Those 3 real questions are caring out loud. Telling him the truth about what will and won't work for his hair, even when the easy move is to just agree, is character on day 1. 4 accounts opened in 4 minutes before a single scissor even hits the head. The barber who owns that first appointment isn't being polite. He's being a true professional. Got a trust story? A client you lost and eventually figured out why, or one you almost lost and caught in time? Send it in. Stories like that are exactly why the inbox exists. And yes, I read all of them. Send it to mail@beforethechop.com, drop it in the chat today, or put it in the comments if you're watching the replay. Quick break, don't go anywhere. Barber News is next.
He walked in with a photo of hope. The man in the photo had thick, wavy hair. Our client did not. The man in the photo was 26. Our client had a retirement account. Every year, thousands of barbers are handed a picture of a completely different human being and asked to just do this. You cannot give a man Timothée Chalamet's hair. You can only give him a good haircut and a kind word. This has been a message from the Council for Realistic Expectations. Bring a photo of your own head.
Tired of owning your own clippers like some kind of animal? Introducing Clipper Club, the monthly subscription box for the modern barber. For just $49 a month, we send you the clippers you already own. Every month, whether you need them or not. Miss a payment, they stop working. That's right, cloud-connected clippers, because your fade should require a stable internet connection. Clipper Club Premium adds AI. What does the AI do? We don't know, but it's an extra $30. Clipper Club. You'll own nothing, and you'll pay for it.
Good morning again, barbers. David Ford, your host here, head teller and senior loan officer at the only bank in town where the deposits are haircuts. If you're joining us mid-show, here's the morning so far in one line. You're not in the haircut business. You're in the trust business. And every client in your chair is keeping a running balance on you. 4 accounts worth, all on the replay. Still to come this half, the news, the real story of the barber poll, and one question I want you asking a regular this week. But first, the barber news. Let's get into it. 3 real stories this week, and every single one turns out to be a trust story wearing a different outfit. A shop built on it, the robot at the front desk, and the price of a promise. First up, a story that landed in the smallest town that you'd ever expect it from, Iowa Falls, Iowa, a little over 5,000 people. Earlier this month, 2 guys who grew up together, Weston Meyer and Antonio Saros, opened a brand new shop called Riverside Barbershop. Meyer's 2 years into the trade, Saros has 7, and when their hometown paper asks them why, they didn't pitch a business plan. He just said it straight. There's a lack of somewhere to hang out with dudes, being dudes, and getting fresh and having a sense of community. He said it wants it to be a place for the younger kids who might not have the best home life, Before cutting a single paying head of hair, 2 brand new barbers weren't opening a haircut shop that happens to get regulars. They were opening a trust account with a chair bolted to the floor. Before I ever said a word this morning, they already understood the whole thesis. Second, the one that's going to feel like a threat and is actually a gift. Last fall, E008, a salon and spa software company, surveyed about 1,000 Americans. 55% said they're comfortable interacting with an AI receptionist. 63% said around-the-clock booking access is valuable to them. Now, your first read on that is probably the same as mine. Great, the robots came for the front desk too. But follow it all the way through. If more than half your clients are fine letting a machine handle the booking and the reminder and the reschedule, the booking was never where your relationship lived. The transaction is leaving. It's going to the app. And honestly, good riddance. Let it go, because Squire found automated reminders and deposits cut no-shows by 89%. Look, I'm not sponsored by anybody here on Before the Chop, but I think we should all know what's coming. Hand the machine the paperwork. That frees you up behind the chair to do the one thing no software can ever do, which is actually know the person. So if you automate the front desk, you can protect the relationship. The third story comes from way outside our trade, and it explains the other two. Qualtrics, an experience research firm, ran a study of 20,000 consumers. The finding that matters for us is brutal. Only 39% believe the businesses they deal with use their personal information responsibly. 39%. In that same study, satisfied customers were almost 4 times more likely to trust the business. And one bad experience in 2 led people to cut what they spend. Here's why that lands for us today. The whole thing that makes you unfireable, remembering the kid's name, the trip he mentioned, the exact way he hates his haircut on the sides, runs on personal information a client hands you. By default, people guard that now because most businesses have already burned them with it. When a client relaxes and lets you know him, that isn't small talk. He's trusting you with the raw material almost nobody else has earned the right to hold. Small town, front desk software, a 20,000 person survey. Same thing sitting under all 3. 2 guys with 9 years of combined experience between them just bet an entire business on the relationship being the product before they'd proven a dime of it. Meanwhile, the booking, the reminder, the whole transaction, that's sliding to the machines, and clients are fine watching it go. What remains is personal knowing, which is exactly what people guard hardest and pay back hardest once you've earned it. 10 years from now, the barber still standing won't be the one fighting the app. He'll be the one who hands the app the paperwork and pours everything he's got into the 4 accounts. Because 2 kids in Iowa who never run a shop before already knew that. And now the data backs them up. 2 barbers put something into words this week that I could not shake because it is the exact ledger we have been building all show today, just said from their chairs instead of mine. Watch this first one, and then let me tell you why it matters.
You never truly know what someone carried through the door with them. They may look completely fine. They smile. They may make small talk. They ask for the same haircut they always get. But they could be carrying grief, a difficult marriage, a sick parent, afraid of losing a job. And that's why kindness matters in service work. Not forced conversation, not pretending to be someone's therapist, just giving people a place where they don't have to feel rushed, judged, or invisible. Sometimes the service is the haircut, and sometimes the service is giving someone 40 minutes to just breathe.
That is Jay Perry, a barber down in St. Pete, Florida. Hear how he put it. Good service has very little to do with perfection. Sometimes it's simply making somebody feel seen. Here's why that lands so hard for us today on this Monday. We spent the whole show on one idea. The thing that makes you unfireable was never the fade. It's being known for 20 minutes in your chair. Jay just said the same thing from the other side. Perfection is the part a machine gets closer to every single year. Being seen is the part it never touches. You can miss your guideline by a hair and still send a man out of your chair standing an inch taller. Because what he actually walked in for was to matter to somebody for just a little while. On the ledger, that is a deposit, and it clears every time. What it means for you: stop grading your day only on the haircuts. The client in the chair is not grading it that way, so why are you? So the first guide tells you what the job actually is. This next one shows you exactly how it goes sideways. And it is a mistake almost every single one of us has made at least once.
It's grown a ton, but I will say I've been happy with the growth. Like I haven't gone through any awkward stages in it since our last cut.
Yeah, I noticed you're not fighting with that side.
I'm not fighting with that side.
You're just letting it do what it wants to do.
It is getting, I like it tight around the ears, so that's like getting to the limit there of comfort. I don't know if you think we should go back short again and let it grow out, or kind of run with this.
When we were sitting and chatting and I was looking at it and just kind of what it was doing, an idea came to mind. This is kind of out there, so like it's left field. But I recently made a post about how Johnny Knoxville has really cool hair.
Nice.
I think you could pull off
early
his
2000s
haircut.
Johnny Knoxville.
Well, he's always.
That's Andrew Does Hair. You probably already know him. He's telling a story about a client who booked with another barber while Andrew was full. And that barber got frustrated with the guy for not knowing what he wanted. The guy said something like, "How can I cut your hair if you don't tell me how to do it?" All right, I'm here to tell you that frustration is a withdrawal. And the client feels it the second it hits the air. The unsure client is not a problem you have to solve. He is trust handed to you early before you've done a thing to earn it. Your job is to carry the read, to take the weight of that decision off of his shoulders, not to shove it back across the cape. That is the whole craft. The haircut is the easy half. Put the two of them together and you've got the episode. Jay says make him feel seen. Andrew says take the deciding off of him. Same account, 2 deposits. What it means for you. The next time somebody sits down and says, honestly, I don't really know, that's not a bad client. That's the door opening. Your job is to walk through it. I want to zoom way out here, because if trust sounds like some soft new customer service mumbo jumbo idea somebody invented for a slide deck, the history of your own trade will set you straight. Trust isn't the new part of barbering. It's the oldest part. Look at that pole outside your shop. Red and white, spinning. Most people think it's just barber decoration. It's a medical sign. And it goes back to the medieval barber surgeons, centuries old. Here's how it got there. In the Middle Ages, the church pushed its clergy out of surgery. The Council of Tours in 1163 hardened at the Fourth Lateran Council in 1215. The clergy had been the educated healers, so the blade work fell to the man in town with the sharpest tools and the steadiest hand. That man was the barber. For centuries, your predecessors weren't just cutting hair. They were the barber surgeons. They pulled teeth. They set the bloodletting. They put a razor to your throat and you let them. The pole is the advertisement for it. Red for the blood, white for the bandages. The blue we still kind of argue about, so I won't hand you a story on that one. Your storefront has been marked the man you trust with a blade for centuries. Think about what that actually asked of a person. Long before anesthetic, long before antiseptic, the barber surgeon was the man you came to bleeding, in pain, and frightened. You handed him a blade in your bare throat and then you held still. No license to check, no online reviews, no second opinion down the block. The whole thing ran on one input. You trusted this specific man in this specific chair. Strip away 500 years of everything else, and that's the exact transaction in your shop this morning. Somebody sits down, tips his head back, closes his eyes, and lets you run steel along his neck. The stakes got smaller, but the trust never did. It got formal, too. Henry VIII chartered the Company of Barbers and Surgeons of London in 1540. One guild, barbers and surgeons together, and there's a painting of the king handing over the charter. That partnership held about 200 years. Then, by 1745, by an act of parliament under George II, the surgeons split off to become what's now the Royal College of Surgeons. Here's the part I love. When the surgeons walked out, they took the prestige in the medicine. The barber kept the razor, the chair, and the relationship. Medicine industrialized. It got hospitals, machines, specialists, and somewhere in all that, it mostly lost the thing that we kept. The same trusted person up close who knows you and sees you on a schedule. That's the advantage that no software has matched in 500 years. The story goes deeper than the shave. Think about what the barbershop became. A place where you could speak freely, be known, be safe. That trust ran deep enough to build actual wealth. So when I tell you you're in the trust business, I'm not just handing you a marketing line. I'm handing you your own inheritance. You are the current holder of a 500-year-old license to be the person in town somebody trusts with a blade. Don't treat it like you just sell fades. Let's make all of this do something before you close the app, because a framework you don't act on is just a nice feeling you had on a Monday. Here's the challenge, and it's one question. Not 5 clients, not a scorecard, one question out loud to a single person. I told you earlier that you almost never get the reason. My 6-year guy never came back. He never gave me one. I went hunting for it for 2 months later like a private investigator, and by the time I found it, it was a post-mortem instead of a fix. So go get a reason while it's still worth something. Pick one of your regulars, somebody who's been in your chair long enough that it won't land weird. And somewhere in the middle of the cut, ask him straight up. Say, hey, be honest with me. Is there anything that I do that bugs you, or anything that you wish I did differently? Now here's the actual part of the challenge. Say nothing and let the man answer. And here's what he's going to do. He'll go, nah, man, you're good. Everybody does that the first time. Wait him out. Don't fill the silence. Don't laugh it off. And don't start defending something that he hasn't even said yet. 4 seconds of quiet is usually all it takes, and then you get something real. Sometimes I feel rushed. I wish you texted me when you moved that appointment. That one sentence is worth more than any audit you could run in your own head on a Monday, because it came from the only person keeping the actual ledger. And whatever he hands you, do not try to fix it in the chair with a discount. Say thank you, then fix it on the next visit. That's the deposit. One client, one question, 4 seconds of keeping your mouth shut. Go do it. My 6-year guy, he never came back. I want to be straight about that, because I'm not going to sell you a redemption ending that I didn't earn. He was gone before I even knew there was an account to read, and losing him is exactly why I read the ledger on every client now. His account taught me the thing I'm handing you this morning for free. The book only ever shows you trust that other people already decided to give you. It's a receipt for the past. The ledger tells you about the future, and almost nobody looks until it's already empty. Carry this out of here. You are not in the haircut business. You are in the trust business, keeping 4 accounts on every person in your chair. And the whole game is making small deposits on purpose every visit long before you ever need the balance. The barbers who last aren't the most talented ones. They're the ones whose accounts are so deep a bad day can't empty them. Maybe a barber came to mind while I was talking. Somebody great with the clippers who keeps losing good clients and cannot figure out why. Send him this episode. He doesn't have a talent problem. He's got an account running dry and no idea it's even open. And the inbox never closes. Mail it beforethechop.com or just drop it in the comments. Monday, 11:30 Mountain, 1:30 Eastern. That's when we go live. And the main segment, plus the Mindset Minute, break off as their own videos right here the same day. If you'd rather have the whole thing in writing, the full episode in your inbox, that's at beforethechop.com. Next Monday, remember the 9 hats from episode number 2? We're going to put on the marketer hat because building the trust is half of it. The other half is getting the right person into the chair in the first place. And there's a way to do that which doesn't feel like selling and it doesn't cost you a dime. That one's about being known for the right thing to the right people. I'm David Ford. This is Before the Chop. Go get behind the chair, chop some hair, and go crush it.